Welcome to Yeshiva Daf. Shir sponsor Li Nishmas Ayin B'Yakashon Leah Basitzchok. We're holding Basra Davov. We already reached the two dots, and it's already 2/3 down on Mudalef. The reason we reached it is because first of all, the previous one was very short, but really that whole part of the Gemara until the two dots was almost a repetition of what the Gemara said in the previous summit. So we got the two dots. And we're starting from the Gemara, Samach l'Krisel Acher, Megal Gelim Olo V'Sakril. So talk about a case, a person has a wall, his friend has a wall, and he says, I'm not interested in the wall, I'm willing to do the wall until a certain height, but not for the entire height. So his friend says, okay, no problem. But then he goes and he builds another wall right across from it, planning to build a roof, a pergola, like someone says in a shear, and he wants to use that thing. Oh, you're happy with the wall, you have to pay for it. Says the Gemara, if he did tzvichus, not even to the whole wall, only to half the wall, he has to pay the whole thing. What does half mean? Half, as Rashi points out and Toys point out, half means either in the height or in the length of the wall. So whatever you got to, yes, whatever not. Huna agrees in Karna Velufto that there it's going to be different. What does Karna Velufto mean? What does it mean? Rashi explains the Karna Velufto means in a Keren Zovis. Means he gets to the corner of the wall. So you look at Rashi. Rashi says Bechibush Bekeren Zovis Lufta is a chibur. So you say, what is he talking about? His house is connected to the wall. Now he added a little extension to the house. And he's extending a little bit next to the kaisel. When a person extends his house, he's not going to extend his house till the end of his property. So if I have a regular wall and I put another wall right across, it's like even if you did only half, you're probably going to continue it. But if you talk about a house, he's extending his house, it's not going to continue until the end of the chutzner. So whatever he extended, whatever he did not extend. Then the Gemara goes on and says that the Moider of Rav Nachman, Be'arpizo u'kavoso d'kshuri. What is that? Rashi says, we're talking about that he built only half a wall, but he already prepared the beams of the top of the wall. You see what his intention is. He's putting like a big beam and some preparation. So you're saying now that I'm doing that, you see he's preparing to build a bigger wall. Even though he just did half, he's going to build more. So the first one, though, that said that half, you don't pay more than half. You pay even though if he did only half. That's only if he may build the whole thing, not if he's not. And the second one, though, that says half, not if he showed his intention otherwise. The Toys is a little dim shot. Toys says that when he built a wall, let's say you have a wall, you build another wall across. What it says, the Karna Velufto, he did an indentation to the wall. So he's taking this wall the left wall is going this side. The right goes over here, but now he folded the wall. So that shows he's not going to continue building it. It shows that the design of the wall is to make a left. And then that's Karno. And then Lufto is that he did an end of the hair. That's for the length. Regarding the height, means that he made some kind of a design to show that's the end of the wall. The end of the wall, you make a nice design. So that shows he's not going to grow and mow. So Karno Lufto, you pay only for what you did. And then what is our Pizo Vavkat L'Kshurei? So there he says, we talk about that our Pizo means that he's building a wall, but he doesn't make a straight line. You know, when you build a wall, you have like one row sticking out more, one row sticking out less. It's going like in a funny shape. It's in the middle of the building. You see clearly he's going to continue. That's our pizo. As the shureis, he made a preparation, similar to Rashi, preparation to put in the beams on top of it. So, in other words, we have a regular wall. You did half, you have to pay the whole thing or not. But when it's clear that he's not going to extend it more, everybody agrees you pay only half. When it's clear that he's going to extend it more, you don't have to pay more. You have to pay the whole thing.
Wait, I'm sorry. There's an existing wall?
There's existing wall. The next wall you build only half.
He's building a wall on his side.
Yes. So then he has to pay for the first wall because he's going to use it as his, to make a pergola over there.
So
he's going to use it.
From this, we see how much of the first wall he could have used.
Yes.
So then we see, that's
what we see, how much exactly. Omar Avuno, Bekavi lo yavi chazok. Ve'apa gav d'ovid lehimliti. What's a bekavi? A bekavi means that Rashi says he made the wall go up and he made windows towards the other side. So what is the chazaka? And the windows are not windows to see. The windows to put on it beams, right? So it's not a chazaka regarding Reuven to say that I helped you to do Agba. So in other words, if Reuven is building a wall and he's continuing the wall of a bigger height, and on the top of the wall he's making openings to put beams towards Shimon. So 20 years pass, we say yesterday in this year. It could be 50 years past. And then you go to Shimon says, what do you mean? I paid for you for this wall. Or say, you never paid for me. Say, never paid me? So why did you prepare such nice beam holders to my direction if I didn't pay you? Are you preparing it for me? Says the Gemara, even though he prepared it very nicely and he put on it some tar, made a protection of it. It says very simple. I'm assuming you one day you're going to pay me. When you're going to pay me, you're going to make holes in the wall to put in beams. I'm preparing it already in advance. So then when you decide to open it, you'll have what they have. By the way, I remember in my parents' house in Yerushalayim, there was a neighbor downstairs who decided to do an extension. And he already prepared a full porch in front of my parents' apartment because he was hoping that they're going to pay for him for building that extension, and then they're going to open the porch. They're going to enjoy the porch. So he already prepared it. So you're building a wall, you know that the guy may pay you and then enjoy it. So therefore he's going and making preparation for the neighbor. It doesn't mean the neighbor already paid him. I'm saying I don't want him to break my wall later. Okay, that was regarding the walls. Now we're shifting, at least according to most Rishonim. It's a big shift. Where are we shifting to? We're shifting to what's called Cheskas Tashmish. Let's see. Says Muhammad Nachman, Achzik L'Hordi, L'Achzik L'Kshuri. What is Hordi? What is Kshuri? Now let's see Rashi here. There's a little long Rashi. We're going to read a few lines from it. Rashi here says, it says Tesis, because it's not Rashi himself. Rashi is a Talmud of Rashi. And it says over there, Achzik L'Hordi. Look Rashi. Kol Chazokos Halolu D'Shmaitzim Einam Chazokos Sholoshonim. We're not talking about Cheskas Shoshan. We will get to Be'ezer Hashem later in the Masech to Perik Cheskas Abatim. And then we're going to have that someone holds on to a field for 3 years. It's a riot that he owns the field. We're not talking about this as Rashi. It's only someone who took a land. He's holding on to the land and says, this is mine. It's a Cheskas Tashmishim. He's using his friend's asset. Right when you use it, becomes a chazaka. Why? As Rashi says right afterwards, so if he's using it, we're saying he probably did it. Because he's using it, he's silent. Right? So that's what Rashi says. The one more line in Rashi, and then we'll see it outside. There's a taina over here. It says I did it. So here we're talking about, this is Agdoma, this sugi. This sugi is called Cheskas Tashmish. Reuven is using something in Shimon's house. What are you doing using something in Shimon's house? Pashas, either it means that Shimon gave him permission to do it, or Reuven paid for it. Because if not, Shimon would not allow Reuven to come into his house. You don't need 3 years for that. That's what Rashi says over here. That's at least the Girsa of Rashi. Some Rishonim argue and say you do need 3 years. Nekudim number 2, Rashi says, you need to have a taina. You have to say, oh, you know why I'm using it? You love me. You know why I'm using it? Because I paid for it. But with no taina, I can't continue just doing it because I did it till now. Many Rishonim arguing that and they say you don't have to have a taina. If I always used it for the last 3 years I used it, that means you allow me, you were moichel me. I don't have to tell you why. Even though I don't remember why I started using it. I'm assuming it's allowed. And there's many other halachas that do cheskes tashmishim, just these are 2 out of many. So the more says like this, Omam now. Achzik le'ordi, ordi is thin beams. Le'achzik l'kshuri. If he is allowed to lean on the wall, thin beams, can lean thick beams. Because thick beams are heavier. Achzik le'ordi, l'kshuri achzik le'ordi. But the opposite, so then does, if he's able to do thick beams, of course he can do narrow beams. Yeshiva says, no, it's both the same. Why both the same? Because you're saying if I'm ready to learn to use it, I learn to use it for all purposes. The Bach brings the girsa that says, he brings in the Bach, I'm not going to feel the opposite. Using for one thing doesn't mean I'm allowed to use something else. I don't like the shape of the narrow beams. Big beams I like. The Ramnachman itself says that if you machzik to one, you machzik the other, and they both work. Similar thing, Morg brings another achazaka. Omam Nachman achzik lenatfe. What does the natfe means? To have little drops of rain going from his roof to the chutzah. So then achzik l'shafche. Shafche is a gutter. There's a gutter. There's a lot of water coming down. Achzik l'shafche lo achzik lenatfe. I mean, the shafche means you have a gutter. It's all going to one place. So achzik l'shafche, but you get for the gutter. Achzik lenatfe, just dripping all over the place. Ariza says both work because I allow you to put it so there's no chilukim. Both work. It's safri du'urbane. The urbane is like a type of an umbrella. It's basically what we learn safri urbane is like a bundle that it's a type of a hut that where the hunters stay. So if I let the water go down there, it's going to spill all over the place. So that's why I can't do it. Even Tzur the Urbane works. It says the Gemara, he allowed it even my halach l'maaseh. He did a maaseh story with that. Someone rented a house to his friend in the base. He's talking about he rented him a very, very big house. There's many rooms in it. And he rented him one of them. Mishtamish bezizeyo uviktaleyo ad dalat amis. So he can use the holes on the wall for 4 amis. He has 4 amis rishus to use it, even if it's not right next to his room. Let's say it's a hotel. There's many, many rooms. I don't tell you can use only in front of your room. You have 4 amis to use. And the width of the koisel, on the top of the koisel, Rashi says if you gave him in the top floor, in the place that's the minhag. The Rishonim ask over here, this place is the minhag, so if it's a minhag, go based on the minhag. Aval betarvis afande loy. Tarvis afande is that they have like a nice garden in front of the house. You're not allowed to use the garden. I never let you. If I gave you a room, it doesn't mean I gave you the garden. Part of rental is also tarvis afande. But the backyard, that's not for usage of your rent. Even the backyard is also. The question, what is the das when you're renting, how much you're renting? When you have kasher metalto, which is a beam, the beam of the roof. So until 30 days, a person leans the beam on his friend's kaisel. Doesn't mean that he allowed him. Until 30 days, he's not going to do any time against him. But so 30 days is a chazaka. The sukkah the mitzvah, if he made a sukkah the mitzvah, achiva yoyim will have a chazaka. For 7 days, you let him leave the sukkah. But achiva yoyim will have a chazaka. After 7 days, is a chazaka. Say to you once again, not 7 days, 8 days, because the 8 days Shmini Atzeres. You can't remove the sukkah during Shmini Atzeres. There's a lot of kashiva means join. But if he attached it with plaster, with tar, connected it, so then it's right away a chazaka. This reminds me of the story. I I was told the story. I have to found out if if it actually happened, that there was a person who built a sukkah in the middle of the street in Brooklyn, and his neighbor, who was a non-from Jew, wasn't very happy with him, and he took him to court, and the judge was a Jew, so he says you have 10 days to remove this structure out of the street, and that's what happened. So within a certain amount of days you can do it.
Done for permits.
What?
That was the Easter for permits. They were having trouble. They said you're going to get a ticket, but you have to show up in whatever in court.
It was a plane. The restaurants used to do that.
Right.
Restaurants did it. They put it up. They come in with a notice. You have 10 days to take it down.
Right. I hear.
It's going to be over.
Right.
Right. Okay. So you have two houses right in front of your Shabbos. So what are we talking about over here? You have, we are going back to Hezek Riyu. You have two roofs, one across from each other. They're looking into each other's roofs. So what do? You have to build a fence. Who should build a fence? Reuben says, you build a fence, Shimon. Shimon says, Reuben, you build a fence. So each one has to build half. Reuben builds half a fence on his side, and Shimon builds half a fence on his side. So you have a fence. So Reuben's fence is here, Shimon's fence is here, that's what you have. But if it's right across from each other, you can still peek into someone else's gag. So you have to add a little bit more. Each one of them has to add a little bit more, so it will be completely sealed. So that's what the Gemara says. You have two houses across the street from each other. Each one does a fence for half the roof. Not across from each other, I mean the other side. They add a little bit more. So why are you talking to me? The Rishus Rabim is in between. I feel Rishus Rabim Nami. If Rishus Rabim in between, should be a problem. So you're right. Rishus Rabim Yitzchak Leimal the Teimun Nemel is so if Abayis let's the new Rishus Rabim. You should tell him, I might say, when you're in the roof and it's Rishus Rabim, anyway you have to build a fence because you don't want people to see from the street. So he said, Kamashul Adomale Rabbi Imam Chazuli Bilei Lo Chazuli. Aspein Imam Bilei Lo Chazuli. The rabbin, they see me only in the day. The night you can't see. And it's dark. But you're up there on the roof with your light. You'll see me in the day and the night. Night people don't pass in the street so much. The rabbin, they're going in the street. When I'm standing up, they see me. When I'm sitting down, they don't see me. You see me when I'm sitting or standing. The rabbin, they're going in the street. They have to look. They have to pick up their head. They have to, stretch their head to look at me. You're walking on the roof, you see me right away. So I need to protect myself more from you than from the people on the street. Before, each one builds a half a fence. So pshita, of course, why should I build the whole thing and you not? We split it. Says the Gemara, one of them built the entire fence. How the Tema name he says, you know what? You already built it. Let me just pay you half and leave it by you. He says, why don't you want to build the whole fence? No, he built the whole thing. One of them built the whole thing. So now he tells Shimon, you build your half. Why? You already built your whole fence. So I don't want to leave the whole fence there. I want to take it off. So build your fence. He says, just leave your fence. I'll pay you your expenses. He says, no, I don't want it. Why don't you want to have a full fence? Because it makes the wall heavy and it makes the house break. As someone mentioned the Shir on Sunday, those days on Shabbos, they didn't have foundation in the houses. They didn't know how to make a foundation. There was no cement. So you build the house would fall. So you build another structure on top of the roof, it makes the whole house fall. So I don't want to make it too heavy a structure. So that's why I want to usually build half. I should build half. And the chiddush is, as the Shane pointed out of here, even though it's going to be more expensive to do each one, because each one is doing more than half. So do half plus. So you're doing a half plus, I'm doing half plus. We're each doing a little bit more than if we're doing one full. Says the Muhammad, a person has a roof right in front of the chutz of his friend. He makes a wall of 4 amos. There's a grill. I've been gaggle. You don't do between the roofs. Between the roofs, people don't go up so much. I'm not going to do all my areas of kugel dalamis. You don't have to make dalamis between roofs. But you do have to make a mechitza asara. You have to make a 10 tefachim fence. Lemay, why do you need 10 tefachim? You need to have 4 amas, as we saw. You can't peek inside. No, 2 different roofs. Just a roof.
But they're attached.
They're attached, right?
So each one has to build half?
What? They don't have to build.
But the buildings are attached.
Yeah, so they have to pay for it. They have to pay for a middle fence.
Right, but they just pay half.
Yeah, so how much you have to pay? Once it's 4 amas. You don't have to pay 4 amas because between the roofs, people don't use the roof so much. L'chur, what the Gemara said before, that you're doing half a roof. We're talking about either a place you use it more, or that it's arguing in this mandama and holds you do build a roof for the roof offense. So the Gemara says, so why you have to have 10 tefachim? If it says agree, you need 4 amas. Height. You know what it is? I want to make a border. I don't want you using my part of the roof. I'm making a border to make sure that this is mine, this is yours, don't go into my area. Same way, if that's all you're doing, you just need to have a small designation. You make a small piece of wood so you know which one is which. If you don't want animals going from one to another, you need to have a small thing that you can't go underneath the fence. You know, that's a small height. You want to set a little 3 tefachim, so it doesn't the geek can't go in there. As long as it doesn't have a 3 tefachim height, really is because it doesn't want him to come in to use my chutzner. More he understood the psyche of neighbors. The guy says, "What are you doing on my side?" Says, "Oh, I'm so sorry, something fell, I just want to get it." Yeah, something fell, so I went into it. So that's why he says, no, we're not building a small piece of wood. We're making a fence. 10 tefachim, not 4 amas. And you want to have to climb over the fence, and then you're not going to do it so easily. You can't just say, I just did it to find something that fell. So raise a question. So if the roof is on top of a chutzner, so you don't have to build it. You don't have to do even 10 tefachim. Says the Gemara, in other words, the chutzner is above the roof. It means the chutzner he has a higher chutzner. It's not the chutzner being below the roof. The chutzner is next to the roof, right? So the chutzner is higher than basically, the chutzner is next to the roof. So then is, you don't have to make any mechitza because in roofs people don't use. You don't do a 4 amas fence, you do a mechitza of 10 tefachim. Says the Gemara, Itmar. You have 2 chatzers, one on top of each other, one is higher than the other. So Rav Huda says the bottom one starts to build a fence. So you have 2 chatzers. One is here, one is here. The bottom one starts to build a fence until here, and the top one starts building from here. Why? Because the top one says, I don't need this fence over here. I need only over here. So I'm going to help you from here on. The bottom one wants to have a fence in front of his thing, so he starts at the bottom.
What's the reason for the upper fence?
So he can't see. He can't see, and nobody can see both sides. So he says, so if he's the no, he starts at the bottom. They both start from the bottom. Tanika said that he's bring our raya to Chizdo. Doesn't say I'm going to start from the top and I'm going to say I'm going to start from the bottom. That's what we said before. If the chutzner is not in front of the chutzner, but the chutzner is it's not a chutzner front of the chutzner, it's a chutzner front of the roof. So then I don't care so much. I don't need hezekriya because for the roof I don't have a problem with hezekriya. So you have to put it over there, and that's the Gemara says over here. So here, this is just to point out that the Rishon really asked, what is the svara that's the opposite? Of course, you don't start a wall in the middle of the air. Of course, what was the tzad of Rav Huna that says the tachton boy until this place, and the alien starts from here on? You want to build the one alien says, no, I just need my wall over here. You want your wall to be in the middle of the air? Well, which kind of tiny is it? I don't need it until here. So he says, okay. So that's a discussion of the Rishonim. We'll leave it with that. And with this we end this daf.